question. Paddington. Oh, honey.
Hi. Oh, the Smiths are here.
Hello, Mother.
Never in my life have I walked so far to find so few people of importance at home. The fact is, the 18th of June is ridiculously late to be in town. Anyone who's anyone is in the Hamptons. Only the Dudleys were at home. They wished to know when my brother Philip was to be married, or remarried, and where, and how.
Grace, what if the Dudleys were people of breeding? They would know better than ask you all these questions.
Lena Dudley knows Philip. Lena Dudley knows Philip. She expects an announcement at the wedding.
Well, I trust you told her that my son and myself are all of the opinion that those who have been divorced should be married with modesty and not parade.
I told Lena Dudley the wedding was here tomorrow.
Oh, well, I have spent the entire afternoon inside writing in the announcement of the wedding, and I think I have attained a proper form of announcement. Mr. Philip Phillimore and Mrs. Jardine Carsley announced their wedding June 19th at 3 p.m. 19th A, Washington Square, New York.
It sounds very nice, Mother.
Various cake sounding nasty. However, it is correct. Well, the only remaining question now is to whom the announcement should not be sent. You see, I consider the announcement of a wedding between two divorced people to be in the nature of the intimate communication, for it not only announces the wedding, it also announces the divorce. Well, the person I should ask counsel of is Cousin William Sudley. He promised to drop in this afternoon.
Cousin William Dudley?
Yes.
We shall hear all about his trip to Cairo.
Well, Cousin William would disapprove of the match, of course. Well, unless a winter in Cairo altered his superior tone.
His superior tone. Oh! Cousin William!
My dear William.
How do you do, Mary? Grace, dear. Oh, an awfully warm June we're having.
Wasn't it warm in Cairo when you left, Cousin William?
You know, Grace, I left Cairo 6 weeks ago. So I've no news since you wrote in February that Philip's been engaged. I need not to say I consider Philip's engagement excessively regrettable. He's a judge on the Supreme Court bench with a divorced wife. And such a divorced wife.
Philip has succeeded in keeping everything as quiet as he can, considering.
Oh, no, my dear. He has not succeeded in keeping his former wife as quiet as possible. In fact, I was in Cairo 1 week when who should show up but that Vida Phillimore. She went everywhere and did everything no woman should.
Well, what did she do?
What did she do? Well, she did Cleopatra at the tableau in Lord Arrington's. And do you know that she did it robed only in some diaphanous material of a nature so transparent that in fact she appeared to be draped in moonshine.
Moonshine?
Well, she was dressed like a slut. That was only the beginning. As soon as she heard of Philip's engagement, she held a dinner party in honor of it. Only the divorcees were asked. And then she has a dummy. Yes, my dear, a dummy. At the head of the table, he stood for Philip. Well, that is, he sat for Philip.
Oh, I disapprove of.
Well, but of course you do. Ah, whose are these? So tell me, has Philip taken to smoking Egyptian cigarettes to celebrate my winter in Cairo?
Those cigarettes are Cynthia's.
Who is Cynthia?
Mrs. Carslake. She's staying here. She'll be down in just a moment.
Wait, you don't mean to tell me?
Well, yes, William. Cynthia is Mrs. Carslake. Mrs. Carslake has no New York home, and well, I disapprove the publicity the hotel, the circumstances, so when she got engaged to Philip, I invited her here.
And may I ask who Mrs. Carslake is?
Well, yes, she's from the very respectable Dean family.
Well, Deans are nice people. Tell me, was her father J. William Dean?
Well, of course.
But the family's an old one. But J. William Dean's daughter, surely he left a considerable sum.
Oh, 15 or 20 million?
And if I remember rightly, she was brought up abroad.
In France and in England, and I fancy brought up in a very gay set, very gay places. She is what is called a sporty woman.
Well, we may have to put up with that. But tell me, you don't mean to tell me that Philip has the assurance to marry a woman who's been divorced?
Oh, no. Cynthia divorced her husband.
Well, she divorced him.
Well, yes, and my dear William, there were many palliating circumstances. Cynthia was only married 7 months to Carslake, and there are no hostages to fortune.
So what sort of a woman is she?
Men admire her. Well, she's not conventional.
She has behaved discreetly ever since she arrived in this house.
Yes, Grace, but I suspect she's been exercising a degree of self-control.
So discreetly, she likes to clap the lid on, and you think perhaps one day she may boil over. Up to 15 or 20 million. So, who's Carslake?
Carslake? Why, he owns the famous racing horse, the Cynthia K.
He's Henry Carslake's son.
Oh, yes, Henry, yes. A very respectable family. A very respectable family, I should say. But if I remember rightly, his father served a term in the Senate. And so the wedding is tomorrow? Tomorrow. Well, my dear, respectable family with some needs. We must accept her.
Oh, William.
But on the whole, I think it'd be best if I do not see the young woman. I think my disapprobation of her would make itself apparent. After all, she's this uncouth, modern young woman
coming.
with the manners of a cave dweller and an habitué of the racetrack and the divorce.
Cousin William.
Oh,
Belmont favorite, 6-1. California chrome, tonalist, and medal count. At the half, tonalist forged ahead, slipped by the pair, and won by a nose and 140 nostrils. Oh, I wish I had noticed it. Oh, Mr. Sudley, you must think me very rude. How do you do, Mr. Sudley?
yes, Mrs. Carslake.
I hope Cairo was delightful. Did you have a smooth voyage?
You must permit me, Mrs. Carslake.
Oh, please don't welcome me to the family. All that formal part is over if you don't mind. I'm one of the tribe now. You are coming to our wedding tomorrow, aren't you?
My dear Mrs. Carslake, I think it would be
Oh,
wiser
but
if...
you must come. I mean to be a perfect wife to Philip and all his relations.
Mrs. Carslake, I'm afraid that...
If you don't come and look as if you're not standing by Philip, you'll come, won't you? Of course you will.
Very well, Mrs. Carslake, I will come. A good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mary, Grace, good afternoon. Mary, dear, what time does the alimony commence tomorrow?
The ceremony, William, is at 3 p.m.
Ah.
Oh, William, I totally forgot. I have a most important question to ask you. It concerns the invitation of the wedding to whom they should not be sent. For instance, the dance. That, Cousin William?
Don't you like him?
Like him. I love him. He couldn't have received me with more warmth if I'd been a chorus girl.
Really? Oh, Philip.
debonair.
Thanks. You'll have your glass of sherry, Philip. Thanks. I can see it's been a tiring day with you, with the lawyers very long-winded.
Long-winded to the point of almost putting me to sleep. I am fatigued. Shocking attack by the president on vested healthcare interests. But it's to be expected. You elect a desperado to office, you must take the hold of that follows.
Another glass of sherry, Philip. I think you seem exceptionally tired.
I am. Over the courtroom today, I actually slumbered. I heard myself do it, that's how I know. A dressmaker sued on 7 counts. The insanity of the United States Senate. At least we have peace and toast and tranquility.
Yes, I feel as if we were married already.
It's the halcyon calm, my dear. Your second choice. After all the feelings I have for you, the market is in shocking condition. And what are you reading?
Oh, I'm just looking over the sporting news.
Oh?
I fancied Hermes would come in an easy winner. He came in nowhere. Nonpareil was ridden by Henslow. He's a rotten bad rider. He gets nervous.
I suppose you do retain an interest in horses. I trust that someday the law will attract. Oh. Here's the report of my opinion in that dressmaker's case, Haggerty versus Phillimore.
Versus Phillimore? Was the case brought against you?
Oh, no. The case was brought by Miss Haggerty, a dressmaker against, in fact, my dear, against the former Mrs. Phillimore.
The former? How did you decide it?
Oh, Haggerty's plea was preposterous. I had to decide with Mrs. Phillimore.
Did you see the former Mrs. Phillimore?
No.
I see her often at afternoon teas.
And how do you recognize the former Mrs. Phillimore?
Why, Mrs. Vida Phillimore's picture appears in every other issue of most of the evening papers. And I confess I was curious. But you must find it very painful to meet your ex-wife again.
No. Did you find it so difficult to see Mr. Cosley?
Philip! Don't speak of him. He's nothing, a thing of the past. I never think about him. I forget him.
That's extraordinarily original of you to forget him.
We each have someone to forget, Philip, and to me, Jack Carslake is, well, he's dead.
He is dead. Or the next thing closest to it. Or he's bankrupt.
Bankrupt? Let's not speak of him. I never mean to see or think of him or even... it's a picture of...
Jack Carsley?
Picture of him and one of me, and in between us, Cynthia Kay.
Cynthia Kay?
My pet riding mare. The best horse he has. Jack Carslake drops a fortune at Saratoga.
Advertises country estate for sale and favorite mare, Cynthia Kay, of the former Mrs. Carslake, who's about to enter the arena of matrimony with the highly respected judge.
Philip, please don't.
My dear, take the post. You'll find nothing disagreeable in the post.
It's even worse in the post. Jack Carslake sells the former Mrs. Carslake's jewels. The famous necklace now at Tiffany's. The sporty ex-husband even sells his wife's portrait by John Singer Sargent. Oh, Philip, I can't stand it.
My dear, Jack Carslake is bound to appear in print. Or even you may have to see him.
Have I'm not going to see him. Every time I hear his name or Cynthia Kay's, it gets so depressed.
But my dear, he's an old acquaintance of mine. He argues cases before me.
You are not going to see him.
Be a matter of business.
Philip! How are you, my brother?
Brother Matthew.
Ah, and Cynthia.
Reverend.
How charming you look. But tell me, why weren't you at church on Sunday? I gave a brilliant sermon. You would have loved it.
Do tell.
It really was perfect, I can tell you.
Philip, Mrs. Dina Philimore's maid is on the telephone here to expect her on a matter of business.
Here? Now? Excuse me, my darling.
Let me just show you. I really think you missed a nice one. I started with people. The green grass withers, and the flowers fade. But I was strictly logical after that. We all know that the grass rises again. And we all know that when the flowers fade, a new flower blooms again. And we even know that if we were to cut this magnificent tree down right now, we are not going to do that. If we were to cut this magnificent tree down right now, new saplings would rise in its place. In fact, the prophet Isaiah tells us that the dry lands and the wastelands will be glad, and the desert will rejoice and bloom again with roses. So nothing in God's creation is final, not even death. And are we not made in God's image? We are. So nothing in the human experience should be final. And if nothing in the human experience is final, then someone needs to tell me why. Why? Why should marriage be final? And I tell you it should not. And thus the necessity, really, of divorce. So, as you can see, all of New York was here. All of New York went away happy. And all of the coffers, possibly coincidentally, are now very full.
What a dear, delightful pagan you are.
Oh, go on.
Here is your tea.
Ah. But this appears to be English breakfast tea. I only drink Irish breakfast tea. But my dear, you look a bit sad.
Why not?
Well, I think I'm of no use in the world if I can't fix that. There should be no sad faces on pretty girls. And besides, only sinners should be sad. I think you've committed a sin.
I have committed a sin.
Really?
I committed an unpardonable sin when I married for love.
Oh, good. My dear, no one should marry for anything else.
Why am I marrying your brother then?
Why are you marrying my brother? I keep asking myself this question. Why not stay a single woman?
I meant to, but a divorcee has no place in society. I felt horribly lonely, and Philip was ideal as a friend. For months. Isn't it nice to find a friend to you?
Sure, I suppose it is, yes, of course.
To marry on prudent, sensible grounds, a man like Philip. That's what I should have done first, instead of rushing headlong into a wild, mad, passionate marriage that nearly strangled me with happiness.
I've never told you this, but I had a passion like that once as a youth.
And then besides, the day Philip proposed to me, I was down in the dumps.
I got there too late. She'd hung up already.
Who? Philip?
My ex-wife. Vida.
How do you do, Philip?
Oh, don't tell me I'm a surprise. When you have the habit of the house, as unfortunately I do. You can't treat yourself like a stranger in a strange land, so here I am. My reason for coming was to ask you about that B&O stuff about the coffee. Yeah, that's the one. How do you do now? Oh, what a surprise. Do be polite and introduce me to your wife-to-be.
Cynthia?
We're a
Delighted to see you, Mrs. Phillimore. I needn't ask you to make yourself at home. Won't you have a cup of tea?
My dear, she's not in the least what I expected. I heard she was a dove. She's a very dashing sort of dove. 2 lumps of sugar and quantities of cream. I find single life very fitting. And how well you're looking, my dear. It must be the absence of matrimonial cares. Or is it the new angel in the house?
It's most amusing to sit now in your place. You must feel very at home in this house where you've made so much trouble. I mean tea.
My dear, I'm an intruder only for a moment. I shan't give you another chance to score off me again. But I must thank you, dear Philip, for rendering that court decision in my favor today.
Oh, I
Of course,
assure
you would
you.
have liked to have rendered it against me. It was your wonderful sense of justice, and that's why I'm so grateful.
Cynthia, if you would please leave us be.
Of course, Philip.
Oh no, my dear, don't go. The truth is, I hate to see you. I feel most cordially towards you, and really, you know, people in our position should meet on cordial terms.
Naturally. If people in our position couldn't meet, New York society would soon come to an end.
Precisely. Why, society's no bigger than a bandbox. It was only a minute ago that I saw your ex-husband, Jack Carslake, walking in the street, and here he is now.
Fillmore!
Mr. Carsley?
Thank you. Oh, Vita! Great to see you. Oh, and hello! Here's the church. Jack, great to see you. By George, your reverence, that was a racy sermon of yours. I mean, really racy. That's what I've been telling everyone. Yeah, about the boys. Oh. Mrs. Carsley.
Mr. Carslake.
I was unaware of the pleasure. Yeah, in store for me. I thought you were in the country.
I've returned.
Well, perhaps you could make me a cup of tea. That is a teapot wasn't lost in the scrimmage. Hey, Mr. Fillmore, I came to get your signature in that matter of Cox's deal.
I'm at your service. Please proceed.
Oh, excellent. I also understood you were in the market for a race horse.
Yes, you have a mare by the name of Cynthia Kay.
Yeah, but she's not for sale.
You don't wish to sell her to me?
You want her for yourself? She's rather lively for you, Judge. Miss Carsley was too much.
She's just the mare I had set my mind upon.
Oh, no, she's a dangerous mare, Judge. She's as delicate and changeable as a girl. Hate to leave her in your charge.
Leave her in mine, Mr. Carslake.
Mrs. Carsley knows all about things. Cynthia Kay's got rather tricky.
You mean to say you think she'd chuck me?
Hate to have a mar of mine and cry the other way. Either way, she goes to Saratoga next week. CW.
CW?
Yeah, creditor's willing.
I'm sure your creditors are willing.
They're a crazy lot, my creditors. Gonna throw me a dinner this evening.
I regret I'm not one of your breezy creditors, but I do think you owe it to me to let me see your Cynthia Kay. Can't you bring her round to my house tomorrow morning?
What hour, Miss Fillmore?
Say 11? 771. Fifth Avenue.
Your cup of tea, Mr. Carslake.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. I beg your pardon, Miss Carslake. Perhaps you forgot it's been so long, but I don't take sugar.
Sorry.
Yeah, gout. You know, first you riot, and then you die.
My dear Matthew, he's charming, but I do feel as though we were all taking tea on the slope of a volcano.
Mr. Carslake, it appeared to me that you might be interested to sell your portrait by Sargent.
Yeah, sell that. Well, it's not my portrait, Judge. It's a portrait of Miss Carslake here, and to tell you the truth, Sergeant's a good fellow, and made up my mind to keep the painting. To remember the artist by.
cup of tea, Mr. Carsley.
Oh, thanks.
I heard you also have an estate for sale.
Yeah, well, if I was long in the hair, I'd sell that.
You're not really selling your stable.
Yeah, every gelding I got, 7 ponies and 1 donkey. Well, not the only.
How did you manage to come to such a profit?
Streak of bad luck.
I don't see how it's possible.
Look, you would if you'd been there. I mean, you remember my owner, Don Sterling?
I do.
Yeah, well. His wife divorced him over a racing comment he made about basketball players. And seemed to prey upon his mind. Well, 6 races in a row cost me $80,000. And then California Chrome came in 4th at Belmont.
I never had faith in that horse to win the Kentucky Derby.
Belmont. Whatever. Anyway, it never rains monkeys, but it pours gorillas. So when I was down in Cincinnati on the 5th, I laid 7-3 on return.
Crazy.
Streak of bad luck.
Streak of poor judgment.
Cynthia.
I'm so tired. My children. God's children. Lady, gentlemen. I find that talking of horses is often like talking of the 4th gospel. The conversation gets far too animated to be pleasant. And besides, my dear child, gambling is a sin. The Lord wants you to spend his time in active charity and prayer. Now, Jack. Isn't it true, Jack, that there's a race tomorrow at Belmont?
Yeah, going down on my auto.
Oh!
Really? And just wondering, what horse are you going to bet on?
I'm back at Carmen's.
Carmencita! Carmencita.
You may remember we always differ on Carmen's.
Huh. Very well then. I'll wager you, and I'll give you odds too, that Decorum will come in first. And I'll lay 3 to 1 that he will beat Carmencita by 5 lengths. How's that for fair?
Sorry, Cynthia, I'm not flushing up the tape.
Lend Jack enough to cover the wager.
Hey, Judge, it's a sporty idea, but under the circumstances.
Under what circumstances?
There does seem to be an air of impropriety.
You're quite right, Philip. In fact, under the circumstances, it seems to me that Mr. Carslake is as much a stranger as if we were meeting for the first time.
It's like we are taking tea on the side of a volcano.
I'm sorry to hear that your fortunes are so depressed, Mr. Carsley. Philip, there's a Sir Wilfred King's Darby that's just pulled up his carriage.
Hello!
Hello there! English chapel, pantomime off.
Hello!
Well, show. Sure. Wilfred Kate's Derby in.
Good fella, Judge. Major horse breeder. Here to take a shot.
I'll talk to you later.
I am Mr. Fillmore.
Nice to meet you.
Allow me to introduce to you Cynthia,
Yeah.
How do you do?
Mrs. Fillmore,
Oh!
Mr. Carslake,
Yeah!
and my brother, you know.
How do my boy?
Good to see you.
You'd love a cup of tea, Sir Wilfred.
Yeah, thanks awfully. I say, I had no idea Jack had a wife. The rascal never told me.
I'm not Mr. Carslake's wife.
I see.
Sir Wilfred, I'm sure no one has asked you how you like our fair country.
Oh, well, as for climate and horses, I say nothing. But I like your American humor. I'm acquiring it. For home purposes.
Oh, aren't you going to acquire an American girl for home purposes?
Let's see. Well, the more narrowly I look the agreeable project in the face, the more I like it. I say. Oughtn't to say that in the presence of your husband.
Oh, he's not my husband.
What? My brain must be boiled. I got thrown in. I thought you were Mrs. Fillmore and that nice girl over there, Mrs. Carsting. I say you're deucedly lucky to be Mrs. Carsting. Jack over there, he's a private sort.
Oh, he's not my husband.
What? Awfully hot in here. It's rather. It's Grace. Grace.
Sir Wilfred?
Yes. Who the deuce is Jack's wife?
Mr. Carslake?
Yes.
He doesn't have a wife.
Who's Fillmore's wife?
Philip, my brother, does not have a wife.
Oh. Brother, You're a church man, right? I am. That's what reverends do.
Try and straighten me out.
I will try. So tell me, is it going to be the Old Testament or the New Testament? Because I find the New Testament more difficult.
It's not words. Beg your pardon. It's women.
Not sure you're coming to the right place for that.
It's divorce. Who is the lady on the sofa?
I think I understand the problem. Let me see if I can straighten you out. This is Mrs. Vita Phillip. She was married to my brother, the judge, Philip Fillmore. However, he divorced her for incompatibility. He had to use a judge in Rhode Island that's a friend of his to have the paperwork go through. This is Mrs. Cynthia Carslake, well known in social circles. She was married to the famous horse owner, lady killer, all-around good guy, and unbelievable hair, Jack Carslake. But for some reason, she divorced him for desertion. Had to telegraph all the way to Sioux Falls for that particular number. One more thing. Tomorrow, Cynthia is marrying my brother. Got it?
Right, okay. Thanks, I know.
Excellent.
Sir Wilfrid, have you got me straightened out yet?
Straight as a... Yes, straight as a die. I say, you had lots of fun, didn't you? So she's Mrs. Jack Carslake.
Oh, do you like her?
My word, she's a box of ginger.
Well, you haven't met many American women. If you'll call on me tomorrow at noon, you shall meet a most charming American woman who has seen you once and who admires you.
I'm there.
771 Fifth Avenue.
Oh, thanks. Awfully good of you to ask me. Say, you're an absolute looker. I hear you're about to marry Mr. Fillmore, Mrs. Carslake.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m., Sir Wilfrid.
Afraid I've run into a bit of a family party, eh? Awfully chic way you Americans have of asking your divorced wives and husbands to pop in, you know. So, we'll do it tomorrow at 3.
At 3, Sir Wilfrid.
Sorry. Terrible tragedy.
Why are you sorry?
Hate to see a pretty woman married. Might marry her myself.
Oh, I'm sure you don't admire American women.
Admire you, Mrs. Carslake. And I'd marry you in a minute. Just say the word. Marry you here, now.
Don't you think we ought to know each other a little better first?
I do know you. Well enough.
What color are my eyes?
Oh, sure.
You see, in the States we think a few months of friendship is quite necessary first.
Never was a friend to a woman in all my life, thank God. Oh, friend. Might as well talk about being friends with a whiskey and soda.
A woman has a soul, Sir Wilfrid.
Yes, so I. But good whiskey is spirits. Dozens of souls. But I say, does he go to your head?
Sir Wilfrid, Judge Fillmore is my sober second choice.
Aha! But have you kissed him? I bet he fined you for contempt of court. Now, look here. If you're marrying a man you don't care about.
Really?
Oh, well, I don't offer myself, but let me drop in tomorrow at 10.
What country and state of affairs do you think you've landed in?
Right. New York, by Jove. New York is bounded on the north, south, east and west. Come with me. I'm going to stand here until you come with me. Rather awkward. Hey, you freak. You come with me. Oh, lovely. Give her a hand. Right, what's your name? Jessica. Jessica. All right, your new husband. Who wants to marry Jessica? Come with me. Now, there you are. Jessica, your new husband. You may sit there. I hope you enjoy the food. That's New York. Now, here we all are. Your former husband and your former husband's future wife and all these new couples that we've just created here. Like a giant divorce and remarriage milkshake.
Believe you think they throw in a divorce with an ice cream soda?
Damn it, my dear. Marriage in your country is no more than art. Thank you, ma'am. Sign the paper. I've done. That's what an American marriage is. Bump, bump. I'm over it. On to the next.
You are an odd fish, and I do believe I like you.
Ah, of course you do. And you'll see me tomorrow when I drop in tomorrow at 10. We'll run down to Belmont Park.
Don't be absurd.
Oh, we will.
Tomorrow at 12, Sir Wilfrid.
12.
Don't forget, Jack. 11 a.m.
I won't.
Mrs. Carsley, I've ordered Tiffany to send you something. It's a sugar bowl to sweeten the matrimonial lot. I suppose nothing would induce you to call.
Thanks, no. That is Cynthia Kay really to be there at 11 tomorrow? I would give a gold mine to see my horse again.
Oh, do come.
That is, if Mr. Carsley will accommodate me by his absence.
Oh, dear Mr. Carslake, you'll have to change your hour.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't.
Well, I can't come later, for I'm to be married at 3. So I shall come at 11, Mrs. Phillimore, to see Cynthia Kay, and I thank you for the invitation.
Oh, it's mere bravado. She won't actually come.
You don't know her like I do. Hey, I'm going to be late for my creditors' dinner. Oh, creditors' dinner? Yeah, 16 of my sporting creditors. They're going to throw me a blowout at Shelley's. I expect it now, if not sooner. And hey, I must bring some friends if I had any. So, now's the time to stick up. Miss Fillmore?
Of course.
I'm with you too. I love Shelley's. I say, is it the custom? No, it's not the custom, but we'll make it the custom. All right. Yeah, Philip, I just remembered that I too have a meeting at Shelley's with my friends Glenn and Limit.
I have seldom witnessed a more amazing colaticism of crap. This has all been most disagreeable for you, my dear.
Outrageous. I have a great mind to go to Vita's at 11, just as I said I would.
Oh, do sit down. You make me so nervous walking about.
Sorry.
Seeing Mr. Carslake, I can see now why you can't stand him. He has this air of spontaneous inebriety about him. But at least we have the post. And peace.
And here, my dear Grace, is the announcement, as I have no reward in it. I took Liam's advice, but I also put the case to him, and he was of the opinion that only those who truly are in society should be invited.
I wish you could make an exception for the Dudleys.
And of course, that excludes the Vance Browns. It's just as well to be exclusive. Well, of course, we might still invite those Gerardos, and possibly the Paddingtons.
I wish you could make an exception for Lena Dudley.
Oh, well, I suppose we shall have to invite the Dudleys at some point because of the elder daughter's marriage to that dissolute French marquis. Well, I dislike common people as much as I dislike common cats. And of course, in my